Well, hey, how's it going? Kimberley, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good, and you?
Yeah, pretty good. Do you mind introducing yourself for the people watching or listening?
Perfect. So I'm Kimberley. I am a manifestation coach, and I'm currently living in Thailand. I used to live in the south on a beautiful island called Koh Phangan, and I've just recently moved to Chiang Mai. Whether or not that's permanent, I'm not sure, but I absolutely love it here, and I love meeting all the other digital nomads. So, yep, that's me.
Oh, awesome, cool. And then so I remember back when the pandemic started, a lot of us had to make these decisions, right? Whether it was our jobs or the governments or probably both, they were saying, you have to make a decision. Either you need to like be somewhere where you want to hanker down for a while, or you got to go back home, you know? And so I remember many people in Thailand, I was like, I'm just going to stick it out here. And then so that really showed me the importance of community. And then I was really grateful for the Facebook group you started, which was Sticking It Out in Thailand. Do you mind talking about that and just, giving your perspective on it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I would love to say that I made that group out of the goodness of my heart, but I actually it was a very selfish reason. I did it purely for myself because I was in Phuket at the time. And yeah, they had kind of all these notifications that everyone had to go home. And originally I was in Cambodia, and I thought to myself, if I'm going to hunker down somewhere, I wanted to be in Thailand. And I flew to Phuket, and I'd been to Phuket before. And when I landed there, it was an absolute ghost town. And I started getting really worried that I'm not going to meet anyone. And so I was on a couple of the backpacking groups, asking, is anyone going to be staying in Thailand? And I was getting verbally abused by people telling me that I'm a brat and I need to go home and I must stop being so selfish. And I thought to myself, okay, there's got to be some people who are staying. And I'm walking through the streets of Phuket and I'm like, I'm going to make a Facebook group. I just want to meet 2 or 3 friends. Created this Facebook group as I'm walking, and 50 people joined. Like within 5 minutes, 50 people joined. And so that's really where it took off is within that group, I started chatting with people, and I met a really nice group online that said that I must go quarantine with them in Koh Lanta. And so that's where I spent all my time, and the group just like grew and grew and grew. And it really did become kind of the safe haven for everybody who didn't know. There was so much uncertainty during that time, as you know, it really just became that safe haven for people to communicate and create that sense of community.
Yeah, that's actually, I mean, I feel like that's like a powerful version of manifestation in itself, right? You're like, I'm just going to create my own reality. These people are discouraging, but I'm just going to put it out there. And now there's like,
yeah, exactly.
And there's like thousands of people in that group now, too, right?
Yeah. I think we're on like 2,500 now. And I mean, it's still growing, even though those days are long gone.
Right. And did you imagine it to be able to take off like that?
No, not at all. As I said, I thought it would be a group with like 10 people. And during the pandemic, I almost felt like I've experienced this mini version of fame, because people that I never met before were coming up to me. They're like, oh my God, you're the girl from Sticking Out in Thailand. They'd call their friends over. They'd be like, she's the girl. I'm like, guys, whoa, I don't want all this attention. But for that exact reason, people really craved that sense of community during that time. And that was their kind of vice for that.
And so that said, like, so you're a solo female traveler. And I know, for example, like information, safety, security, I mean, for all travelers, but then especially for women traveling alone, I think oftentimes, or at least I know myself, we say you could find your community this way. So it's almost like present another option of creating your own community as well.
Exactly.
But then just in terms of your journey, so my understanding, you had a corporate job before, then you decided to try the travel thing. I'm curious how that started out.
Yeah, so before I quit my job to travel, I'd been working in New York City at a corporate job for 7 years. Anyone who knows New York City, it's a crazy city and it's amazing to visit and it's got an amazing energy, but 7 years can be quite draining. And I just got to the point where the job was stressful. I wasn't even enjoying the city because I was just stressed all the time. The weekends came, I was exhausted. And I just asked myself all the time, is this all there is to life? And I actually took my first solo trip the year before in 2018 to Sevilla in Spain. And I just fell so much in love with the city and just this feeling of joy and inspiration and freedom. And I just felt it in my bones. I'm like, I cannot just save this for my, 1 month holidays that I can have once in an entire year. And that's generous for America, right?
Right,
That's generous.
Exactly.
And something just filled my soul where I'm like, I have to make this reality. And then that was the next year that I just decided to quit. And of course, it comes with so many fears and questioning and what if it doesn't work out? And, I was 35 at the time as well. So it was like, wow, I'm literally I'll end up starting my life over, now. I should have done this in my 20s. But once I just made the decision, and here's manifestation coming in again, like once I made that decision and made those moves, everything just started falling into place, like in the craziest way that I would have never imagined before. And so in 2019, I quit despite wanting to delay it a year. Had I delayed it a year, COVID would have completely screwed me over. And it's just the way it all worked out is just nothing short of a miracle, really. Yeah. Like I never thought I would end up living in Thailand. And I'm so in love with the country, and the person that I've grown into is just someone I never would have imagined. And it would have never happened had I stayed in that little box living in New York City's not a box, but like right. Sometimes the mentality of being in a corporate job and doing the 9 to 5 and doing the thing that everyone else does, it does keep you a little bit in a box. And just escaping that really expanded my mind so much.
So, and you're originally from South Africa, right? And then I feel like that must have been a leap in itself. Like, how does a South African woman, or like what motivated you at least to go to New York?
I was actually born in America. I was born in Miami, but right. I grew up, my family left the States when I was 6. So I grew up in South Africa. So South Africa was all that I knew, but I did have the golden ticket passport. So I did always say to myself, I really want to experience living in America, and South Africa just got a bit boring for me. Same thing, like everyone was kind of on the same path, and I just felt it in my bones that I wanted more adventure than this. And I just was like, I want to live in New York City. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it big. I'd never been either. I'd never been to New York City, and I'm like, I want to live there. So yeah, I tend to make these kind of whimsical decisions, and it was a shit ton harder than what I ever thought when I got there. And when they say if you make it in New York City, you can make it anywhere, it's fucking true.
And you're making it now,
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it big.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And New York built up a lot of resilience for me. So it's really just helped me with my life as well. I truly believe that New York somehow breeds superhumans, because it's not as glamorous as what everyone makes. It's nothing like Sex in the City, you guys. Seriously.
And then how did that resilience play into, at what point did you decide to become a manifestation coach? And how do you think that resilience really has helped you in that journey in itself?
So it came to about 2021. This was maybe about a year now since they closed the borders of Thailand. And I just felt like I felt a bit stuck in my life, and I knew I needed some guidance in some way. So I actually hired a life coach to work with. And, it was super scary because I invested quite a lot of money that was coming out of my savings. I hadn't earned an income for like a year. And she just guided me on such an incredible path. And I had grown and changed so much in 3 months and learned so much about myself. And just to add, before that, I had dabbled in a few things to kind of learn to make money online, because I knew I wanted to do my own thing. I tried the Amazon FBA. I did a course on that. I tried to learn cryptocurrency, all of this, but nothing was lighting me up. Everything just felt like it was going to be a means to an end, or to make money for now. And I was looking for something, at 36 now, I didn't want something that would just make me money for now. I wanted something more long-term and something that really lighted me up. So I actually started a personal development blog. That's how this whole personal development journey really went deep. And then when I started working with this life coach, she said to me, Kim, you're so good at what you do. Like, you would really make an amazing coach. You should look into that. And I was like, no way. Me, a coach? No way. Please don't even talk about this again. But then it started kind of ticking through my head. And then I started like working with people for free and, doing the content. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what lights my soul. And I can make money doing it. This is amazing. So that's really how it all started. And it really just started. I didn't know how I wanted to coach people. I just knew I wanted to inspire people and help them realize their potential to like achieve great things. And then it started going more into the manifestation side. And now it's more into combining like somatic trauma healing and working with the subconscious mind and all that juicy stuff, because manifestation is really the end result. There's a lot that you need to kind of work through before you get to that point where you're really able to like create your life however you want with this empowered mindset. But it's work to get there. It's not like people think manifestation is like, oh, I'll just sit on my couch and kind of dream about what I want, and then I'll open the door and it will all be there. No, that's not how it works.
Or I just put it together a vision board. And
exactly. Yeah. And all of those things are great if it works for people and it inspires them, but like it's not going to work on its own. Like you definitely need to go deeper. And so that's really the work that I do, is the deeper stuff, the deeper healing and subconscious reprogramming and NLP and all of that.
Okay. And then, so I know, so in case anyone's listening and then like their ears perked up or like suddenly got curious, like maybe I'm interested in that. So I know you just listed a number of different modalities, but do you mind maybe going deeper into a couple of them on like, what they are and why they're important and how they're beneficial they are?
Yeah, for sure. I can talk about my two most favorite ones. And the first one is NLP. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's
neuro-linguistic programming.
You got it. Yeah, exactly. So this is basically this communication model where these two guys studied all these really successful people and studied their behaviors, their actions, their minds, and kind of created this whole model based on that. So it's super interesting, and it brings a lot into a lot of work into our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. And so our subconscious mind really is what controls everything we do, 95% of our thoughts, but it's automatic and autopilot. So when people are kind of just living their lives and letting things happen to them and kind of not being proactive with anything, they're letting their subconscious mind rule their lives. And the subconscious mind is where all of our limiting beliefs, conditionings, the things that are making us small, that's where everything lives. And so when you're not reprogramming that into something more empowering, you're kind of still living out of these paradigms that you were taught when you were a little baby. That's when, between the ages of 0 and 7, that's when we actually absorb everything. And so this is what people don't understand is like, if you don't do any of the work on that, your inner workings, right, you're living out of childhood programming still. Whatever your parents taught you and their parents' parents and their parents' parents. And we all know how much the generations have changed, right? Especially now with technology, how everything's moving at lightning pace. So NLP, in short, is the inner workings of your mind and everything about that. And I actually studied that in Bangkok with a company called Coachology. And they were so amazing. I did 2 rounds with them so that I got my master NLP, and it changed my life. So that it's just like everything that I do also changes me. And that's why I love this work so much, because I'm on the same journey myself. So that's NLP. And then the somatic healing is pretty much working with your nervous system, because trauma, which a lot of people don't understand, is not something that lives in our mind. It's something that lives in our body and in our nervous system. So when you're constantly being triggered, when you're emotionally reactive, when you're asking yourself questions like, why am I like this? Why am I doing this? I don't understand this. There's often like unhealed trauma that needs the work. And so the somatic therapy works with your body and your nervous system instead of that conscious thing, like mind over matter. That doesn't work for everyone. It doesn't work for most people. And if it does, it's a very short-term solution.
I think a common misconception is that, trauma is just for, like war vets or people that went to just very dire experiences in life. But would you agree that, we all have trauma to some degree to work on?
100%. And I think this misconception is really holding back society as a whole to work on our healing, because as you said, everybody seems to think that it's this massive thing. You either had to come from like an incredibly severely abusive home, or like abandoned, left on the side of the street, or like coming from a war-torn country. But, things like your parents going through a divorce at a very young age when you were too young to understand. Between the ages of 0 and 7, you're literally just absorbing everything. You haven't developed critical thinking. So when your parents are fighting, when your parents are ignoring you because they don't have the emotional capacity to deal with themselves as a couple, let alone deal with you, you're feeling ignored, you're feeling abandoned, you're feeling rejected. And that's all your mind is understanding at that age. And so you bring this into your adulthood and, you're fearing rejection and abandonment and you have no idea why. And so this is the thing, like whenever people are not going back to their childhood enough and realizing that those so-called insignificant things have caused trauma within their body, and that's what they're kind of living out of in their adult life now.
Okay. And then, as we're talking about, I guess, just healing in general, I remember, so one company I previously worked for, Remote Year, something we'd often say is like, if you're on this journey, especially like if you're traveling to a new country every month for a year, we often say, you're either running from something or running towards something, so like, what do you think is the correlation between, I guess, healing and travel, I guess, quite simply?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting topic that I've thought about a lot for myself, especially because of, the people that I met on my trip. And, when you're staying in hostels and stuff, you know how it is. It's partying, drinking, and it's like, it's all good and well, and it's all fun. But like, how much of this behavior is really just numbing? And I truly met a lot of people that had clearly lost their path in life. And, when you're staying in hostels and you're meeting all these people, so many people end up feeling the sense of belonging that they've never felt in their lives before. but then they just get too sucked into like the partying and the drinking and all of that. And, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I do it and I did it myself and I loved it, but it's like, it's the intention behind it. Are you doing it to have fun, or are you doing it to run away from something, as you said? And especially in my experience, the beginning part of my travels, I was doing Europe. And, Europe is like fast travel because the cities are small. So it's changing every 3 days. And it was really only once I got locked down in Thailand and I had to sit with myself that I was like, oh, wow, I have a lot of shit to heal. Right. Because travel can be a distraction. And if you're going, to the mountains of Nepal and going trekking, that's a very different travel experience versus going to the south of Thailand and going to every island and getting wasted. You're going to have very different outcomes. And again, it's all about the intention. Intention is everything. So depending also why you're traveling, that will answer your question, or anyone who's wondering why they're traveling, ask yourself that.
And then do you have any words of advice for people that, whether they're currently on the journey or like want to preemptively help themselves, like find that balance between the both?
On a healing journey.
Yeah. Like, well, okay, I'm going to travel. I'm going to be in these environments, but then at the same time, I want to stay grounded into, my true intention.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to be able to sit with yourself. When you have to be with people 24/7 and you can't just take that moment of stillness on your own, why is that? Like, why are you so afraid to be with yourself? And so if you have this opportunity to travel, you have this opportunity to travel long term. You're not stuck at a desk. You're not like busy with work. Now you've got this opportunity to like clear your mind and really focus on who are you? What do you want? Like, what is it that you don't like about yourself and how can you change? So I think really the basis of everything is being able to slow down, sit with yourself in silence and just start getting curious about yourself, asking yourself these questions.
And then, I think we did a lot of conversations on the internal world and just like preparing for that. And then I think one of the things that I heard you said that when traveling alone, you said you actually haven't had any like terrible experiences. I think is that true?
Yeah, I've been very lucky. That being said, I do always choose countries based on their safety. I really wanted to go to Colombia, and then I heard all these stories and I was kind of scared. But I mean, that being said, I grew up in Johannesburg, which is like the most unsafe city in the world, I think in the top 5.
Right.
But I don't miss that constant like vigilance of, having to look over your shoulder. And even when I was in Spain, in Barcelona, they're crazy for pickpocketing there. And just having that feeling of always like having to hang onto your bag. And that's why I love Thailand so much. There's never any that kind of feeling. So I've been fortunate that I haven't run into any scary situations, but also just sticking with people, being street smart. I think I am very street smart from growing up in Johannesburg. So I didn't allow myself to kind of get into risky situations either.
Johannesburg and New York, So.
Exactly, the two, yeah. That being said, I felt way safer in New York than Johannesburg.
Oh, really?
For sure.
And then, so just now, like overall, just what would you say is the most rewarding part about your whole travel journey?
I would definitely say meeting myself on such a deep level that I never even thought it was imaginable. And what that really means is just like really getting to know yourself. Everyone talks about self-love and this and that, but it's like no one really understands self-love because they don't really know themselves. And so we spend all this time meeting new people, getting to know them, getting to know what ticks for them. But like, well, do you even know that about yourself?
True.
So it was really, I had the time, I was fortunate enough to have this time and then take advantage and slow down. And really starting to get to know myself, my needs, my desires, my values. And once you really start meeting yourself on that deeper level, then you start really knowing what you want. Because most people are stuck, they don't know what they want. But it's like, if you don't know yourself, how are you going to know what you want? Think of yourself as your partner that you are in love with and treat them like that. Get to know them, ask them questions. It's the same thing. We have to get to know ourselves just as we would a romantic partner.
True. Okay. Appreciate it. And then so lastly, it's just like, for anyone that may want to get in touch with you about your coaching or otherwise, like how would they get in contact with you?
Cool. So my main point of contact is my Instagram, which is Ultimate Freedom Club with an underscore. And freedom in all senses is just really one of my deepest core values. So that's how that started. You can also find me on Facebook, Kimberley Bakker. It's Kimberley. And last name's Baka. And so, just pop me a message on any of those platforms and I can send you any details about what it is that you're interested in. I have a couple of programs going on at the moment, so I'd really be happy to welcome new people into my world.
Oh, awesome. Actually, go ahead and plug the programs if you don't mind.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, the first one is just a short program. Well, short. It's a month long, and it's called A Month of Manifesting. And the reason I introduced this program is because there is so much manifestation information out there, and a lot of it is really confusing. You know, the stuff you see on TikTok and all of that. It's bullshit. And so the Month of Manifesting really teaches you everything from the foundations of your mindset, and, you know, there's a lot of NLP stuff in there, and really how to create the foundations to create this empowered mindset to start creating the life of your dreams. Because that's where people get stuck, is that they don't even believe it's possible for them. So this Month of Manifesting, we already started the next round, but the next round I've got starting in January. So that's 30 days, and it's in a group setting, and it's just basically teaching you the basics, but not only teaching you, it allows you the time to embody it as well. So like, information is great, but if you're not integrating it into your life, it's pretty useless. So this allows you to integrate it. And then for anyone who wants to like really go deeper into the healing, I've got another group coaching program. This is for women, called Becoming Her, in January, and that's really just becoming the woman that you came here to be, you know, embodying all that confidence and juicy magnetism. And then if you really want to go deep, then I've got private coaching available. And that's, it's limited to spots because it's very, very personalized. Pretty much me in your back pocket, like getting all up in your shit every time you need me. So yeah, it's amazing because there's different levels to work with me at different price points. So yeah, if anyone's asking themselves, why am I like this? How do I change? I don't know where to go from here. I'm your girl. I can really help you with that.
Perfect. And on that note, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Oh, thank you. Take care.
Thank you.